Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. Archer's Chicago Med Season 10, Episode 7 Demotion has one important silver lining. There is an important silver lining to Archer's big loss in Chicago Med Season 10, Episode 7, Family Matters. Dean Archer is one of actor Steven Weber's best roles and has been an important part of the Chicago Med cast since Season 6. He first arrived at Gaffney Medical Center to serve as interim ED chief when Dr. Choi, Brian T., was recovering from a serious illness and unable to run the department. During Family Matters, Archer is more focused on getting Lennox, Sarah Ramos, removed as ED co-chief than on patient care. Archer is also tangentially involved in an amusing subplot in which the residents play a game to get someone to buy them drinks at Molly's that evening. That said, Archer is supposed to be excluded because he is known for not buying around in the past, which goes along with the way Archer and Hannah's friendship in Chicago Med is his only relationship. In Family Matters, however, Archer ends up with the pin anyway, and his reaction suggests that the battle for the ED chief position is not over despite his seeming loss. Archer and Lennox have disliked each other since she was first introduced. Things came to a head in Chicago Med Season 10, Episode 6 when Lennox ignored Archer's recommendation and did a risky brain surgery on a 16-year-old who was in a coma. Archer felt the surgery was too dangerous, but was overridden by the board. When the patient died, he blamed Lennox, who responded, "You can live in an alternate world where you're always right, but in the meantime I live in reality, where sometimes we lose patients." Archer used this exchange as the basis to demand that Lennox be removed from her position, but unsurprisingly, his plans backfired. His decision to interrupt Lennox's case review meeting to accuse her of malpractice and refusal to let her speak made him look like an obnoxious person with an axe to grind. Furthermore, Goodwin is unimpressed with his argument that Lennox was too full of herself to be a good ED chief, pointing out that his claims about her hubris were the pot calling the kettle. Ultimately, after speaking with the staff about Lennox's behavior, Goodwin decides to demote Archer rather than her. Most of the staff don't want to speak ill of Lennox, considering her position, resulting in Goodwin making her the sole ED chief. Ordinarily, this is something that would anger Archer. Despite his past demeanor, however, Archer doesn't show any negative emotion related to this news, which is curious. After receiving the news about his demotion, Archer heads to Molly's, the bar where everyone from the One Chicago shows spends time after work, and shocks everyone by buying a round. Archer seems far calmer and more relaxed than he has since his arrival in Chicago, which suggests that in at least one respect, his demotion is good news. Archer is seemingly relieved of the burden of running the hospital and is more open to socializing than he ever has been in the past. Archer may look like he's casually laying back in Chicago Med Season 10, Episode 7, but he is a strategic thinker, so he may be trying to put the pieces into place for him to return to being chief of the ED. If he is going to succeed in this endeavor, Archer needs to create relationships with people that he has not put any effort into thus far. He's essentially starting from scratch and trying to build trust and rapport with the other staff members now that he is not responsible for the entire ED department's continued existence. Archer and Lennox are equally obnoxious during Family Matters, making it unclear who would ultimately prevail and worse, leaving the audience with nobody to root for. Archer's newfound rapport with staff members can change that for him. The staff previously excluded him from their game because they assumed he didn't want to participate. This makes it hard for anyone to support or like him. By rebuilding his relationships with staff members, Chicago Med's Archer can get people in his corner who might support him if he asks Goodwin to revisit the issue of who she is appointing to be head of the emergency department. Even if his bid is ultimately unsuccessful, Archer creating authentic relationships can transform his character. He can transition from being a borderline villain to a protagonist who has strong feelings about how medicine should be practiced, which is a win for the audience. Dr. Dean Archer has never been the type to take things lightly. As the tough, often gruff attending physician at Gaffney Chicago Medical Center, he has weathered countless professional and personal storms. But in Chicago Med Season 10, Episode 7, Archer's unexpected demotion sends shockwaves through the ER. However, what initially seems like a humiliating setback reveals a silver lining that could change his trajectory in ways no one saw coming. The demotion. A forced step back. The episode opens with Archer walking into the hospital, expecting a normal day. Instead, Sharon Goodwin, the hospital's steadfast administrator, calls him into her office. With a heavy sigh, she delivers the news. Archer is being demoted from his position as head of the ER. The decision, she explains, comes from higher up. Budget cuts, shifting policies, and complaints about his leadership style have made him a target. Though he fights it, arguing that his no-nonsense approach is necessary in the chaotic world of emergency medicine, Goodwin remains firm. He will still be a physician in the ER, but he will no longer be running it. Archer's pride takes an immediate hit. Losing his title stings, especially since he has poured years of his life into keeping the ER functioning under immense pressure. The demotion feels like a professional death sentence, and he initially reacts with anger, snapping at colleagues and resisting any semblance of change. The fractured relationships. The demotion also forces Archer to confront the strained relationships he has with his coworkers. Dr. Hannah Asher, whom he has mentored and at times butted heads with, cautiously approaches him, trying to offer support. But Archer, ever the lone wolf, shrugs off any attempts at sympathy. Dr. Crockett Marcel, who has often been at odds with Archer, doesn't hold back his smirk when the news circulates through the ER. Tough break, he says, though his tone suggests a hint of satisfaction. The real test, however, comes with Dr. Will Halstead's replacement, a young, ambitious physician named Dr. Nathan Reyes, who has been appointed the new ER head. Reyes, eager to prove himself, implements changes that Archer immediately disagrees with. The two clash almost instantly, and Archer, no longer in a position of power, finds himself being overruled at every turn. This power shift is infuriating, leaving him feeling marginalized in the very place where he once called the shots. The silver lining, a return to patient care. At his lowest point, Archer contemplates quitting altogether, but a pivotal case changes everything. A young patient, a teenage girl named Lucy, comes into the ER with symptoms that baffle the rest of the team. Reyes, pushing for efficiency, orders a battery of tests without much thought, but Archer, trusting his years of experience, takes a different approach. He sits with Lucy, talks to her, and uncovers a crucial piece of information. She has been experiencing unexplained weight loss and fatigue for months, but was too afraid to tell her parents. Archer, relying on his gut, orders a specific test that ultimately reveals a rare autoimmune disorder. Because of his intervention, Lucy gets the treatment she needs before her condition worsens. The experience is a revelation for him. Stripped of administrative duties, he is free to do what he does best: treat patients with care, instinct, and hands-on expertise. For the first time in years, Archer feels like a real doctor again. Mending broken bonds. Archer's renewed focus on patient care doesn't go unnoticed. Dr. Asher, who has always seen potential in him beyond his gruff exterior, acknowledges the change. "You're actually enjoying yourself," she observes. He grumbles in response, but the truth is undeniable. Being on the floor, interacting with patients without the burdens of bureaucracy, is rekindling his passion for medicine. Even his relationship with Reyes begins to shift. Initially adversaries, the two start finding common ground. Reyes, though confident, recognizes Archer's depth of knowledge and begins seeking his input. Their dynamic evolves into one of mutual respect rather than competition. Meanwhile, his relationship with his son Sean takes a surprising turn as well. Seeing his father humbled yet reinvigorated by his work, Sean starts opening up to him more. Archer's demotion, once a source of shame, becomes a bridge toward healing a relationship that had long been fraught with tension. A new beginning. By the end of the episode, Archer's arc is clear. His demotion, though painful, has given him something invaluable: freedom. No longer bogged down by administrative politics, he is able to practice medicine in its purest form. He isn't just another figure of authority, he is a healer again, and for the first time in a long while, he feels a sense of purpose that his title never gave him.